just February 11th, but it felt a little bit like March tonight in Ann Arbor with first place on the line. And Michigan comes away with a victory, 75-73 in a dramatic, intense game down at the Chrysler Center. Welcome in to the Michigan Postgame live show. I'm Dennis Fithian, and the intensity was ratcheted up. This was a game that for a long time did not look like it was going to be Michigan's night. And if you did not watch this game and you would look at the box score, there are going to be a lot of misleading things when you look through this one. Area 51, the Vlad Golden and Danny Wolf combo that has been so effective this year. You didn't see much of Vlad. Vlad 2 points at the half, and he stayed on too for a lot of the second half. Danny Wolf was not the Danny Wolf that you, have come accustomed to seeing, making plays all the time, but he did late in this game. And you had things that were Michigan held things together with Roddy Gale Jr. in the first half. And then you had Reuben Jones. I don't know. You could call this the Reuben Jones game. Reuben Jones with the play of the game, and he had a stick back jam. Either of those two, you could have said were the play of the game. So I'll say this was the Reuben Jones game. LJ Kason coming in, giving Michigan some minutes, and then Will Cheddar, just by the way he plays the game, the intensity, ripping, just getting a rebound and snatching a possession and, going down to the floor and setting screens, man. You start to say, it's kind of the heart and soul. Sometimes those things sound a little, I don't know if it's trite or not, but it's not with Cheddar. Cheddar is the heart and soul of the team. And, he was willing them, to stay in this one. But really overall, if I just take a step back and take a breath, as Michigan avenges their earlier 27-point loss in West Lafayette, and they pull even for first place in the Big Ten. This game had all the intensity of a, you say tournament game or of a March game, but it did. It was first place on the line. It should have been that way, and the crowd was into it. It was, to me, that's Big Ten basketball. That's what you hope if you're a Michigan basketball fan. You wait for games like tonight. You relish in them. You're on the edge of your seat. You're pulling your hair out. You're thinking you're going to lose and win, probably a dozen times. And that's the way this one went. And then you just got to I'll give just full credit to Dusty May and Michigan basketball right now. I didn't know, the odds makers had Michigan as a favorite in this game, but it's different when you play on the road. We understand that's why you always say you never apologize for getting any road victories. But the beginning of this game, 7-0, and Purdue's coming out. It's like, oh man, this looked like it was going to be the same old thing. And, Purdue just plays intense and they play physical, and they were out rebounding them, and they were up double digits. They're up 11. And you're thinking, oh man, this is, Michigan's good, but they're not, Purdue good. They're not first place in the Big Ten good. They're not a team that you're thinking about really being a, 3 or 4 seed. This is a team that, they can make the tournament. But this changes the perception. This was a game where you're like, is Michigan, just for the moment, they're the real deal. I don't know how long that's going to last, but there were questions about whether they were the real deal or not. And a win tonight here for however long this lasts, they're the real deal right now. They're one of the stories of college basketball. They sit up atop of the Big Ten. And they've got 8 transfers, 11 new players, and they came together. And it was a hodgepodge, all of the rotations and how guys were playing. And the guys that were stars were, Trey Donaldson. He came out and was fabulous at the beginning, and then he was like gone for most of the game. He did hit a big three late for U of M, but it was not the big three that they counted on. It was the other one. Namari Burnett hit a big three to tie the game with 6 minutes to go. And I already mentioned Reuben Jones and Roddy Gale. We have every game talked about, well, it's got to be Reuben and Roddy. They really got to step up. Well, tonight they stepped up. And I don't know if the game, whatever, Gale, this the two of those guys, I didn't think it was a coincidence when Michigan put out they put out pictures for social media before the game, and they had both Reuben Jones and Roddy Gale, standing next to each other out on the court. They put that one out, and obviously Dusty May has switched those guys around in the starting lineup. And when you're the starter all year long, it's no fun getting benched. You feel that, and you got to come out there, and then it just to look at Michigan and look at the numbers. There's no, if I would say, and I haven't looked at any of the feedback, there's really no complaining about a game like this. You could say, oh, they got all the complaining was prior to this game where you're saying, well, if they play like they had against Penn State, or if they play like they did, well, they kind of did play like that. This team could close. And even though Danny Wolf missed some free throws and, they had to hang on to win it. This is a team that basketball is like all sports, how you finish in the end, how you're playing in the stretch, down the stretch, in the final couple minutes. And that's really going to tell the tale if you can get to that point. Just think about Michigan, not last year, but the certainly the year prior. Remember how many games they had? It was Virginia. It was all of these games that they would be there in the final 2 minutes, and then they lose them all. I think they lost them all. I think they beat Indiana late in the year, but they were right there neck and neck with a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes to play with all of these teams, and they lost all the games. It's been different this year. Michigan, and when they were playing what you thought were lesser than opponents, you're like, this is going to catch up with them. But tonight, that was not a lesser opponent, and they were able to close them out, make some big plays at home. And so, yeah, it's all thumbs up. It's pats on the back. It's a great job by Michigan basketball, who deserves all the credit right now for the way they played. And all of them should have a big smile on their face. And everybody that is, if you're a fan of Michigan basketball, you should just feel great tonight, because they went out there and played a hell of a game. And, they're sitting there. There's 7 games left in the regular season, and Michigan's tied for first place. And you go ahead, ask for more if you want it. You can't ask for anything more. Ask for it, and you got it tonight. They delivered. They delivered on the big stage, protecting home floor and avenging their only loss. They had 5 losses, but the only loss that they have been completely blown off the floor was at Mackey, where they lost by 27. Other than that, they lost by 1, 2, 3, 2. I mean, wait, there was 1, 2, 3, and 2. I think those are their losses, and then 27 points. And the team they lost by 27, they beat tonight to come up with the answer. So that's how I feel about it. I'm going to get some of the feedback in here. I see a lot of people after a win like this want to say some things about Michigan. Let's see where the people are at before we run through this one. How about it? People are just excited, and they should be. Here's S. Greg West is saying, great win. That's really the way to put it, man. It is it's time to party. The punters. Grats to the boys. That Amish kid can play. I guess he's talking about Braden Smith. He's got the Amish beard. Braden Smith scored 14 points right off the bat, and it's like, wow, is this guy like a superstar or something? Why was he going to throw up, a 40-piece or something on Michigan? And then he went completely dry. in the second half. I'll credit Michigan. He looked like he had a lot of shots that were open, that were very makeable, and a couple of the big men for Purdue, kind of the same thing. But, hey, I'll credit Michigan, and that's going to happen on the road. And, you tighten up a little bit. But when Smith started draining some of those threes late, and, man, if he would have hit that last one, woo! Yeah, I almost needed an extra serving of blue cheese. I'm with you there, Rip. That is crazy. Breaking it down, Michigan could finish strong. Not only do they have 7 games left, but 4 of them are at home and 3 are away, pointed out by M&BR. And I don't see any lies detected there. I think you have nailed it. I think Fancy Lions is trying to be funny, talking about a horrible win. And I get it. Jason looking ahead already to Columbus. Well, Michigan always wins down in Columbus, just like football. SW Lion, great win, Danny, but make your free throws in crunch time, please. Well, Danny, last game, Danny had been making his free throws down the stretch, and then Danny did make some free throws down the stretch, but then he needed 2, and he missed them both. So, he needed to make one of those for sure. And he didn't. We're talking about none of those guys are clutch. Just got to embrace the heartburn of watching these guys. Yeah, what I would say, CK, the whole heartburn, I felt like I got a big chug of, I don't know what you use for heartburn, but that was big Pepto-Bismol tonight for me. It's none of that. It's just Fancy Lions having fun, trying to have fun. I mean, he's having, what do they call it? I don't know. I know what engagement farming is, like on Twitter. He's trying to do it here. False gold, he's saying. Mr. Martini, he knows it was a statement game for the time being. Thing about basketball is, and it can be a maddening thing. It's also the great thing is that you win one, and there's a lot of games, and there's always like another chance. I mean, there's always a chance, to for and where Michigan's positioned, if you just take the Big Ten regular season out of it, there's always a chance to get in. You get the tournament, the Big Ten tournament, then you get obviously the NCAA tournament, but. Yet tonight, Michigan is a factor in winning the regular season championship. And let me say, I love the Big Ten tournament. I love all conference tournaments. And, there'll be people that'll get to like, I don't know, that's fine. You don't have to like them. And you can say, oh, they're just for money, which is true. But, man, a festival of basketball for consecutive days and making a run, and you're going to those games, and you got, the red over here and the blue over here, the green, and there's nothing like it's awesome. I know Dick Vitale just got back, the other night. It is awesome, baby. The tournament. Having said that, winning the regular season conference title is much more impressive to me for the long haul. And I know you're only playing 3 teams, and a lot of it's going to have to do with scheduling and everything else. But look, winning the regular season and the amount of games that you have to do it is more impressive to me. But it's not really taking anything away from winning a conference tournament. That's great too. And you get a ring for either one. So, if you, it would be nice to have one of each. In fact, it'd be nice to have one of each in the same year. Now you're talking. And then you take all of those rings and you really say, they're not meaningless, but you need to validate them in the NCAA tournament. And you make all these deals like, Michigan, I don't really care if they win the Big Ten regular season or if they win the Big Ten tournament. If they make it to the Final Four, I'd trade that every year, but it doesn't work like that. I mean, nobody's offering up. There's no basketball genie here offering me up. Hey, well, would you rather make the Final Four and not win anything in terms of the regular season? Yes, every time, every team would. But that's where I'm at, sitting here. Yeah, Yeah, but here people talk first place. It's right. Go crazy, folks. Go crazy. That was a statement. The punter's talking about the bench. Yeah, how about Will Cheddar? I feel like I want to. Will Cheddar deserves a statue of cheese. Something. Let's get that together. SW Lion is saying Michigan has had a great season, but you can't give great teams life when you have a chance to put them away. I think that's true. Jason, looking ahead to next game. Well, we'll look ahead to the rest of Michigan's schedule and their next game. But I hadn't thought about that, Jason. But the former Buckeye Roddy Gale playing a big game tonight. Fancy Lion, they won because Purdue bigs fouled out, period. That was a factor. So we saying that the refs, Michigan got a favorable whistle, or is it because Michigan's got a lot of size and that they were attacking the basket and then Purdue had the foul? I mean, that's going to be part of it. And your bench, did you think they were cheap calls? Now I think Fancy Lion really is trying to get some engagement going. They lead the Big Ten, but I wouldn't dare rank them higher than 15. Fraud City. Here's somebody else. Yeah, well, you can feel that way all you want. And I understand if you're somebody that really just wanted to pull up a chair with me and say, the only thing that matters is getting to the Final Four. And if they don't do that, and I don't think they will, nothing matters. Well, that could be fine. That could be a fine way to approach things. I know people that when it comes to pro teams, you're either winning a championship or you're a failure. You're going to be miserable. CK, you're going to be miserable on a night where Michigan makes a statement. If you live your life like, calling them a fraud after their biggest win of the season in a year where they've completely turned things around. They've got a coach and the way they put this together and their way they're playing. I mean, you can't have any fun. You should try to have a little bit of fun, CK. You and Fancy Lion you guys need to get together. That's it. Woo! Hassler says when they get hot, they're unbeatable. Well, let's see. About them getting hot. We've talked about, their chances. Right now, how many teams are there where you get in, you say, boy, this team could, lose. They could lose one of the first two games, or, man, they could go on a run and get hot and get to the Final Four. Michigan's in that group. Whatever that group is, they're in it. So, and prior to tonight, it felt probably more like, they wouldn't make. But now tonight, this is what games are all about. You need to try to stay present with what's going on. And presently, Michigan has made a gigantic statement, and they have put themselves in the conversation as one of the best teams in the Big Ten. And so you're that. Then you start to look, and you start getting a little bit? You start to get a little swagger. You start to get a little momentum. Your chest starts getting a little bit bigger. And you start thinking, man, Dusty and his staff and these players, they might have something special going. Now, that's where I'm at presently. I'm not looking, it's like, oh, yeah, watch out. They're going to the Final Four. I'm not saying that. But they did something tonight that I think you have to be honest with yourself. I've been watching them thinking, oh, man, the way they play these games, they're winning them. But if they play this way, they're going to lose when they play a good team. Well, that's not the case. So give them their credit if you want. Somebody saying they're playing with fire. Yeah, I'll agree. Missing free throws is playing with fire. The punter's just firing back. Stick it. They're just being a top 10 team. I'll give Fancy Lion one more because I'll give him I thought he was just playing around at first, but now I think he's not playing around. He's not feeling good. He's mad. I feel like maybe he lost a bunch of money on the Super Bowl and now he's angry. That's just me. That's my guess. And no, you're a Lion fan, and if you're like my friends and you're like my wife, you're still mad about the Lions losing to the Commanders. The season was over. Life sucks. Everything is nothing gives you joy because the Lions lost to the Commanders, and everything out there is nothing. It's a vast wasteland. Even when you watch other sports and there's a win and everybody's going excited, you're sitting there thinking about, I wanted to be in the Super Bowl and it didn't happen, and I'm still mad. Well, Fancy Lion, I get it. Sounds like my wife. Hey, you want to watch the Super Bowl? Let's go. Nah, I don't care about the Super Bowl. Lions lost. Like, what? It's been a month now. You gotta, come on. And put one foot in front of the other. Fancy Lion, but I'm glad to see you. I have to admit, if you're a first timer, I'd be sitting here saying, what the heck? But Fancy Lion's here a lot after the game, like Ripstar and everything. So that's it. Woo! Let's do it. Like the live. Now we got people, got a little, yeah. See, that's it. I knew it. I knew what was going on there. I'll get back to some of the feedback. Let me walk you through this game if you missed it. Game number 24 in the year. Michigan, the 20th ranked team of the country, taking on number 7 Purdue at the Chrysler Center after losing by 27 points back on January the 24th. You check the odds makers. They had Michigan as a 2.5-point favorite. 1.5 point early in the morning. It goes up to 2 as those sharps knew what they were doing, sending the money in on the maize and blue. But keep an eye on that 2.5 points as it ended up figuring in if you were handicapping it. Now, this game did not get off to a great start for Michigan. It looked like it was going to be the same old song and dance. It looked like the Boilers were coming in and they were just going to haymaker and knock Michigan out of this game. U of M got down early. It was looking terrible for them. They got down by as many as 11 in the first half. But guess what? They kept fighting, and Michigan went on a run. He's here. Game of runs. Well, Michigan closed the first half with a 9-0 run, and they pulled within a bucket, 37-35. That was important. Give it up to Roddy Gale Jr., who I don't even like him when they pass the ball to him. I want to get it out of his hands, and he's been benched, but he came up and played huge for Michigan in the first half. In the second half, it looked like the Boilers were back to the way they were in the first part of the first half. They pushed that lead back up to double figures. And then it was looking like maybe it was going to be, Purdue's night, but Michigan chipped away a little bit. And then Namari Burnett nailed a 3-pointer with 6 minutes to go to tie this game. And then this came, enter Reuben Jones. I love the name Reuben. Probably because, like a lot of people, I love a corned beef, Swiss, and rye sandwich with some Russian dressing on it. A Reuben. I had a friend in college, great guy. Reuben Jones comes up with a steal. He takes it coast to coast and nice under control layup. And Michigan had the lead by a point with just over 3 to go. And then Reuben, it was his night. Danny Wolf made a drive with under a minute to go, and Reuben Jones was right there for the jam. The stick back offensive rebound jam in one motion. That pushed Michigan up 6-39 with 39.6 left. And I thought I don't want to say it was over. I was feeling like it was over, but old Braden Smith started, crossing guys over, draining some threes, but Wolf made 2 free throws late. And then he missed 2 free throws late. And Braden Smith had a chance to win the game for the Boilers, running on the right side, threw one up. I don't know, did it draw iron or not? Did it draw iron? I don't know. Didn't look like it. It had a very good line of trajectory. And Michigan wins the game 75-73. They come back and win it. And the play of the game was by Reuben Jones. Reuben Jones, the graduate from North Texas. He comes in, the lefty, and he had the coast-to-coast play after the steal to put Michigan up 66-65. That was your play of the game. How about that? We'll get to the schedule. We'll look at the rest of what's going on. But right now, Michigan is in first place with the Boilers. I guess we'll have to look and see what the Spartans are doing. But 19-5, how about that? 11-2. All this looks good. Beating a top 10 team. 19-5, 11-2, avenging their only blowout loss of the year. And they're tied for first place in the Big Ten. How about that? Jack liked the way Michigan played defensively. Good point. Mr. Martini pointing out the free throws. Michigan got to the stripe 26 times. Purdue only 8. Big time stat. Yeah, early on, I didn't like the whistle against Michigan. And then there was one that I think Purdue was pretty upset with when they went to Vlad, and they double teamed him, and they were in good position, and Vlad just put his elbows and went right up to the hole, and he got an and one, and the Boilers were like, what the hell? What do we got to do? But, that's one of the deals. Michigan, they drive the lane, and I'll tell you, whether you're a poker player, a football player, or a basketball player, being aggressive is good. Aggression in football, obviously, is good. But basketball, like driving the lane, forcing that official to do something with the whistle. Not plowing into guys, but staying balanced and taking it to the hole. I'm either going to score this bucket or I'm going to get fouled. And that's what Vlad was saying. And I think Danny Wolf was doing a little bit of that too. Gale tries it. That's it. Yeah, Area 51 was out to lunch, and then it showed up late. Zach has a word about the official. As long as the refs keep calling it like that, you guys are going to do great. Yeah, I think that every game you can pull 12 calls out, and you can look at them, and whoever you're sitting with, they could all say that ref sucks. This game blows. You'll hear things like, this is typical Big Ten officiating. The Big Ten refs are up to their old shenanigans. This is home cooking. This is not, and it just depends what side you're on. And tonight, all those Boiler fans who drove up from West Lafayette and got the tickets, they're all crying about I'm not saying you're crying, you're just pointing something out here, Zach, but it would be the same thing on the Michigan side. Oh, these refs blow. That is part and parcel with Big Ten basketball for as long as I've ever watched it. Whoever I watched the game with, they're always bitching about the refs. Everyone. I've never sat, and then when your team wins, you completely forget about it. And then when you lose, it gives you something to blame. Did I think the officials, like Mr. Martini, like you've got 7-footers that are attacking the rim and you're driving the rim. Purdue settled for a lot of jump shots. Even their boy who goes for that little one-hand push shot, he's not attacking the basket. And I'll tell you this, for the last freaking 4 years, I had to deal with that 8'5" dude, that Canadian, the Edie, always going in there and getting every call in the book. And you'd say, well, he's 8 feet tall. What do you expect? He's a tough guy to officiate. You just sit there like, oh yeah, I guess so. He's like Shaq. So now the shoe's on the other foot. Maybe you guys should, attack the basket a little bit more and stop being such a finesse team. You'll get some more calls. Woo! I don't understand what that means. Braden Smith was legit. Yeah, he looked pretty good. Dave says maybe Purdue shouldn't be fouling so much. Can't believe anybody would say Purdue got the short end of the officiating stick. Give me a break. Yeah, well, it depends, what team you're rooting for. I mean, that's the way it works, Dave. I mean, look, when you ask, here we go. When you ask, you don't ask fans to be like, let's. You don't ask a rabid. You don't ask a fan to be objective about their team. You ask them to be a fanatic. So every call is, against you, either for or against. Michigan versus everybody, Purdue versus everybody, everybody against everybody. You're on the left, you're on the right. It's hate everyone. Always hate the officials. So, what can you do about that? All right, a few more. Dave says Michigan didn't give it away in the final seconds. It shows growth. This team needed that. The Purdue team is tough. Yeah. Yeah, they are. Ferris is enjoying the game. Yeah, FL's here for every game. So you got to give him that. Kendall Lamar getting in, saying, you are too, Michigan fans. Somebody talking about Indiana upset. Whoever that dude was at the halftime of the Peacock, said the dude, I should know his name. He said, I like Indiana tonight. That's what he said. Let's see if he knows what he's talking about. Indiana up at half by 3. I don't know. I wouldn't get your hopes up. I mean, Rutgers, what were they up by 14? Oh, Oregon. I'm sorry. I think you might have gotten your hopes up if you were a Michigan fan when you saw all of that. So, yeah, looks like everybody. Coach of the year, Dusty May. I think that Dusty May could be the national coach of the year. Big Ten coach of the year, national coach of the year. That's it. Somebody talking about some of the calls. Yeah, I don't know specifically which one you're talking about. Zach, sure, if there was no contact before that, but he got hit on the rim, kind of hard to come down. I don't know if you're talking with somebody else. Whichever one you're talking about. It was at the one with Vlad that was up there. I don't know if Vlad got hit in the face after that. I don't know. It didn't seem like those calls. Those guys are swinging their you're up there. Everybody's going after it. Everybody's, fighting for the ball. And then those are tough calls. I mean, what else do you want to say about that? For sure. All right. We got somebody bringing up Bob Ufer. Hey. It's always okay to bring up Bob Ufer. Ufer would have liked this game. Michigan tied for first place. What else do we have? Well, heading into tonight's action, KenPom.com had Michigan ranked at number 20. They'd been as high as number 10 this year, and they're 21. I don't know if they slipped down, at least over the last month or so. They've been right around 20, 21. They were 20 heading into today's action. Obviously, that is going to go up because Purdue was sitting at 7 Michigan was the 6th-ranked KenPom.com team, even though Michigan's ranked 20, and they sit at 20 with KenPom. And that will just go up. And, bracketology is never too far away. Joe Lunardi today did an update on bracketology. He had Michigan as a 5. He had 13 SEC teams and 10 for the Big Ten. Also, Jerry Palm. I was looking at so many of the bracketology. You had Mike DeCourcy on the Big Ten Network. I think he had Michigan as a 5. Jerry Palm, he's CBS. He had Michigan at 4. I don't know, the Peacock. They have their own bracketologists. Wouldn't mind being a bracketologist. I would be like a wild bracketologist, just take 4 teams just to F with a bunch of people and put them like, Auburn, a 2 seed. Get everybody upset. Michigan on the 2 line. Something crazy. Wild it up, and everybody would be like, this guy's wild. He's a wild bracketologist. But yeah, Michigan looking good for the tournament. Let's check the upcoming schedule. It is brought to you by the feed that you are watching or listening to right now, and that is the Maize and Blue Review. You give yourself or that Michigan fan in your life the gift of the Maize and Blue for 2025. You can know everything about Michigan basketball, Michigan football recruiting, Michigan football as you get into like the spring era now, as everybody's looking at that. Recruiting ongoing 2026, looking at that every day, all night, all day. You're always like, man, I get the Super Bowl blues. I'm just down. No more football. This is something to lift you up. The Maize and Blue Review. Instant access right now. Go to michigan.rivals.com. So let's look at that upcoming schedule. And Michigan will be off until Sunday at 1 o'clock, and that's when they travel down to Columbus to play Ohio State. Well, just like football, that's not a very scary place to go. That's a very winnable game. Boy, they have the CBS music going, Michigan, Ohio State. I just watched Ohio State play. They're pretty good. They play a lot of close games. Ohio State beat Purdue at Mackey. So the Buckeyes won't be like their football team, a real pushover. They got a decent coach, unlike their football team. So, they'll have their coach, doesn't curl up in the fetal position when he sees Maize and Blue. Or, the guys on defense won't either. I mean, it's a little bit different on the hardwood than it is on the football field where everybody's scared and Michigan's totally in their head. But maybe there'll be a little bit of carryover because all the fans, the lunatics will be sitting over there. They don't know what to do. They won the national championship, and they're like, if we can get this one, it'll make us even feel better about our national championship because it'll be all over the place. It'd be fun to go down and get a victory at Ohio State. I got to tell you, when Michigan was getting into this stretch, and these are the last 2, their previous 4 games, I said, if they go 3-3, they're still going to be okay. They're still all right. Certainly the Big Ten regular season title would have been out of the window at that point, but I was trying to say that they'll be okay. Well, they've won 4 of the 6 already. So, it's not house money. But they have put themselves now, the games just get bigger and bigger and more meaningful to win that regular season championship. I'll tell you this. If Michigan could get a Big Ten regular season title or a Big Ten tournament title, this season goes from, this has been a very good season, Dusty May's doing a wonderful, it'd be a great year. And Dusty May would deserve the conference coach of the year and potentially the national coach of the year. And then you'd see what they would do in the tournament. But they're alive for everything right now. It's a great time to be alive if you like basketball. Ohio State on Sunday, and then a long break and build up to the Spartans come in. And I think today's game was important. That Michigan State game, Dusty and company and the 8 transfers and the 3 freshmen. Now, Cheddar will tell those guys it's a way different when Michigan State comes in here. I mean, you guys played in rivalry games, but it really gets amped up. It's at a fever pitch. It's uncontrollable. Everybody's screaming and yelling with every play. The refs suck. It's the worst call in the world. It's the greatest thrill. It's a roller coaster of emotions and all of that when MSU comes in. And it felt a little bit like that kind of intensity tonight at the Chrysler Center. And for that, I was even thinking if Michigan loses this is good because this is the kind of intensity that when Michigan State comes in, it's going to be the same kind of fever pitch. So it was good. And obviously winning it, is really good. But getting that experience to play in a pressure cooker where every possession, everybody's screaming and yelling and pulling their hair out with everything, that was good for Michigan. They'll feel that down in Columbus on Sunday, then coming back for, let's say, when's Valentine's Day? That's not so good. It's not Sunday. Heat check. Yeah. So next 2 games, awesome. That's it. Am I looking at the Piston game? That's good. They're down there crossing out all the M's on campus down there in Columbus. I don't know. That tradition, along with all of their players, not saying team up north. I don't know. I know it's because they're Michigan's rivals. But both of those things are stupid by Ohio State fans. We can't say Ann Arbor. We're gonna red X everything around campus because that's a little funny thing to do. That's it. Have fun with that. Okay, that's going to do it. Thanks so much for joining us here. We're here after every Michigan basketball game. We'll be here for the game coming up on Sunday after Michigan takes on OSU. Michigan will see where they're at with first place on the line and the log jam up at the top, but Michigan downs Purdue. They got Michigan State on the horizon. They win the game tonight by a final of 75-73. Oh, the one thing I did not do is I didn't run through the numbers. Why don't we do that? I'm not going anywhere. I still got some numbers to get to. Danny Wolf made a drive where he had the ball up top. They're clearing the ball. They're clearing out for the 7-footer up top, not giving him a screen. He's putting it on the floor. He's spinning. And then it was a little bit of a Euro step. It was one of the best moves that I've seen Danny Wolf make all year long. He did that with under 4 minutes to go. He wasn't his normal Wolf-like. He didn't have his normal Wolf-like game throughout, and he missed 2 free throws at the end, but he's dangerous and he's different, and that's good for Michigan. And you need him in a pinch. He can come up. I would like to see him be a little bit stronger. Sometimes I feel like he's a little finesse when he's driving, flipping some of these shots up. I'd like to see him use every bit of his 7-foot frame when he's going in there. But 15 and 9, 2 feeds, 37 minutes, had 2 blocks. Pretty good. Trey Donaldson scored 8 points out of the shoot. You could tell that he had come to play and then went a long time without doing anything. And it wasn't foul trouble. It was weird. Some of the rotations, I was wondering where he was at. But then he hit a big 3 in the last couple minutes for U of M. And to round out the big three, Vlad Golden, I don't know if this was the first couple games, half dozen games for U of M. Maybe he didn't have, and then when he was sick, he didn't put up some big totals. But he wasn't around in this game. He had 2 points at the half, and then he was stuck on 2 for the longest time. But they kept going to him. They get the ball out to him too far. They need to get him down to the post, but they can put him in the screen and roll, and they can throw the ball. They need to work on that. Purdue did a good job of when Michigan would throw the ball down on the post, being over and putting the hard double on him. Teams are immediately doubling when they throw the ball to him wherever he's at, but they got to get him further down on the block. They know that, and I just don't. Vlad's not very good when he's out there, 12 feet trying to back his guy down. Repost him, throw it back out, and repost. It was like the first shot of the game. He was like off foot, fade away 11-footer. No, get down to the post, big man. Namari Burnett, 9 points, but 3 balls. They needed all of them, and the big one was pulled Michigan within a tie at 57 all, and it was huge for Namari, that big shot with 6 minutes to go. And you like, even though it doesn't jump out at you, just like Reuben Jones. If you didn't watch this game, you say, Reuben Jones, why is everybody going crazy about Reuben Jones? Reuben Jones won the game for Michigan. 6 points. And, I said he had a steal. It was a tie up on the possession, right? And then he went coast to coast on it because I was looking. They don't have him with the steal here. But he had the stick back jam with 39.6 to go. And then he had that coast-to-coast play. Gale, nice job keeping Michigan. Michigan, probably gets blown out in this game if they don't have Roddy Gale Jr. Bounce back. Nice job off the bench, 14-7 for Roddy. And then Cheddar also with a big bench performance, throwing his weight around, hitting the glass, setting a screen, going to the floor. I mean, he's just you won't find a better performance ever by somebody who, it's an exaggeration, 5 points and 4 boards. But like Cheddar, and then Kason got in there and drained both of his free throws. And, he's a big body, and between him and Pippen, play the hot hand, mix and match, whatever it's going to be. But it was nice just to see him in there. It gives you he can do something. Pippen's more out on the perimeter and, more of a steady kind of, here's the pass, maybe like an Eli Brooks, where Kason, he can go create his own shot. He can just take anybody to the hole, put him on his hip kind of thing. So it's nice to get him back in the mix, at least have that if you're Dusty May at your disposal and you're thinking about, what do we need here? We need some offense. Let's go get it. That's it. There you go, FL. You and I come to an agreement. It was Cheddar was awesome. Now that is going to do it. Michigan wins it by a bucket, 75. This says 75-75. 75-73. Let's work with that editing department. Get them in there. What we know for sure is that Michigan is in first place. Up there with the Boilers. We'll see if MSU's coming in or not. 19-5 and 11-2 in the Big Ten. They beat Purdue 75-73. That's going to do it. We'll see you over on the Maize and Blue Review for the rest of the night and all day tomorrow and all week leading up to the game on Sunday. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Everybody have a great rest of their night. See ya.